Hey, what's up everybody? It's Gabriel here with naturalwhetstonesharpening.com and the Wild Whetstones Facebook group. Come check us out, come add your energy, buy, sell, trade of knives and stones and axes and razors and all that good woodworking and sharpening fun. It's wide open for you guys. So today I'd like to do a little video on sharpening super steels. I recently got an awesome review by Nemo Knives, and he was using one of my jade Viking whetstone pendants to sharpen some Rex 45 steel, which is pretty impressive. He was able to get a mirror polish. That's awesome. Check out his review. And also, today's video is going to explain how to speed up the sharpening process when using hard stones. So I'm going to demonstrate making your stone double-sided and using two different grits on it to sharpen with. Here is the Bark River Cub in CPM3V. Super excited to play with this today and sharpen it up for you guys. And today I want to show off using a piece of jasper. Now, this knife is in a pretty tough steel, CPM3V. It's pretty notorious for being hard to sharpen, and I want to show you guys how having the right stone for the job makes it a pretty simple task. So in an effort to prove that this knife is sharp, but not as sharp as it could be. I mean, it's definitely got an edge on it. It cuts, but when I try to shave with it, it doesn't want to take very much arm hair at all. This really just seems to be taking a lot of like skin. So that's one way that I know my edge isn't really as sharp as it could be functionally. So watch what happens here. It's about the 6x2 size I saw. Now, because there's a slight curvature in this knife, I'm not going to get the belly of it until I go to using curved sharpening method to get in there. That's also something that stropping is going to help. And there's a slight bit of edge realignment and polishing that's going to happen from stropping, but really and truly, you need some time on a sharpening stone to get that razor bite. So a way to prove to you guys real quick that this is actually sharpening and taking metal, the tip of this knife has a slight bend in it. So when I go to sharpen it, that burr is really apparent. I'm just gonna file that down real quick. Try to get my edge slightly more aligned. I can't take out all the wiggle, but I can undo the damage from that. Make it a little more friendly for the strop. I add a little bit of pressure, not a lot. Just working on gently encouraging it to move. That seems somewhat better. Now, this didn't gouge the stone. This stone already has scratches on it because I sanded it. I sanded the stone because that makes the pores of it open. So the more you sharpen, the finer that your surface starts to get. You can also take the different grit sandpaper and try conditioning it so that it doesn't cut as fast or that it cuts faster. So sanded at about 600 grit or 1000 grit like this, it starts to break in to a very fine range very quickly. And when it's freshly lapped, you get the excellent benefit of a little bit of extra cutting speed. So you can see that it's still taking metal very quickly on every sharpening stroke. And I'm gonna just give this a bit more time. Based on previous experience, I know that the edge is definitely gonna be a little sharper after this treatment, and it could use care and attention to really be noticeably sharper. So let's just enjoy the process a little bit. Great thing about having time on your hands is you can practice and get good at what you're gonna spend the effort to do for your tools. And how do you get good at freehand sharpening? Do it. Just spend your time on the stones. Gotta coordinate your hand and teach it the sensitivity. And you have to learn how to feel the steel on the stone. When you can start to learn how to do that, sharpening becomes really easy. There we go. So, that's really mostly just edge refreshing. I would probably go to diamond stones first if you're taking out a chip, or even better would be something with some grinding speed to it, especially if you're removing some big damage or, you know, making up after a mistake. But this knife was in almost brand new condition when I got it, minus that little bit of bend up here and that edge not being shaving sharp. So with a piece of jasper, you can cover all your bases, sand it rough, and you can do some quicker sharpening. You'll hear the sound difference versus the finer side. It's not quite as noisy. It's a finer honing sensation. And I find that there's really not very much need to strop when you do a super fine whetstone finish. So stropping is going to add a little bit more alignment and sharpness, but if your edge is dull, I highly recommend that you try quick refresh on a whetstone, because it's going to take a lot less strokes and you can still do very fine material removal that's not going to affect your polish in a negative way, and is going to quickly give you a big advantage back into how sharp and how bitey your knife is.